Alright guys, welcome back to D-Tech. Today's video is going to be a tool overview, I'll call it. And it's this new scan tool that I've been messing with for a little while. It is the Launch, and it's referred to as the X431 Pro3S Elite. So I've been using it for just over a month, I believe, and I am very pleased and happy with it. And so basically this one is an upgrade from this other Launch that I did do videos and reviews on and been using for a long time now. And this one has done me good, plenty of times where it has bailed me out of some jams. And for the price, this one's really, really good. But this one now is basically a step above, and this one does a whole lot more. In today's video, I'm going to bring you guys along and show you some of the cool features and everything that this one can do. Now for starters, this one comes in this case here, and it does actually have the non-OBD connector kit, which I'll show a picture of. And basically you get obviously the main unit. This is your interface, which is also a J-box, and it's referred to as Smart Link, and that I'll speak on here in a little bit. You get your manual, paperwork, so on and so forth. And then here you get the Ethernet cable, because that's related to this and programming. And then just some USB and AC adapter. And this USB also, which this will hardwire the interface to the tablet when you need to. I've already gotten the chance to mess around with the functions where you do need to connect directly, and I'll show you some of that here shortly. And so that's pretty much it as far as what it comes with. Now, this does have a manual, paper book right here, but it's also in the tool digitally if you ever need to look something up. And so here it is, all stored in the unit if you have any questions. And I'll connect here to a vehicle soon and show you how to go about with scanning and everything. But one thing I did find interesting was, if you look at this note right here, Launch is telling you to never replace a part based on the DTC definition. So even here, this scan tool, the manual, Launch, is telling us to not be a parts changer. You need to understand the systems, you need to diagnose. This is just a way to get you started with the whole diagnostic process. So I found that very interesting. Alright, so now I've got the interface connected to the vehicle, and we'll get started with scanning. Now, one thing compared to that other unit I showed you, this one does have a kickstand, so that makes it very convenient. Put it on the steering wheel, or when you have it on the bench, you can set it on that. Now, I won't spend too much time, connecting to vehicles, scanning, so on and so forth, and showing graphing and bidirectional, so on and so forth. Again, just like with the other video I did for the last tool, all of these scan tools should have the ability to do any and all of those things. That's 100% expected. So I'm not going to waste time, again, showing graphing and activate the solenoid, so on and so forth. That is a must on all of these tools. I'll put a link to a video where I showed me using this tool and looking at a lean code and using the graphing function, so on and so forth. But I will do a scan and everything because this one, unlike the other one, does have topology. And so that's a very good, nice feature that it incorporates and has. So right now it's identified the vehicle, and it's got the information here. One thing, if you have scanned this particular vehicle by the VIN, the tool has a history per just this vehicle, or would, and so it would lay it all out here by date and so on and so forth. Now, I've not scanned this, so there's no history, but that's one thing that's kind of cool. if you want to look back at a previous date, it's going to be stored there in that portion. If you've scanned before, I believe that's where you would go, but normally I go there. Let's go ahead and try this one. Okay, let's see where it brings us. Okay, so it's brought us to this page, which is the topology map, which oddly enough, this is the same page that the other entryway brings us to. So let's call this the starting screen for starting your scans. Here to the left, you can see we've got menus there. If you want to look at it in topology, you obviously highlight that. You can do the list format, and then we've got special function area, and then let's see, commonly used special function again. Let's see, and then we've got ADOS, coding, programming, anti-theft. This is if you want to do basically kind of like Immobilizer type of work. So for now, let's just do a smart detection, which is going to go through scanning all modules that it has built based off of the VIN number, and we'll look for trouble codes, and it'll go through each system. As you can tell, we've got different buses there. So K-CAN is kind of like a body, PT-CAN, that's powertrain, most, that's our infotainment down there, and so on and so forth. Let's see, we've got what they're calling a virtual. That's the CCC is this main audio unit down here. Now, you can tell there's kind of like a legend there. Green is after it scanned it and it's got no codes. Obviously, red has codes. Blue is that it has scanned it. And then white is not scanned. Gray is not equipped. So, now that we've scanned the complete vehicle, we clearly see which ones have fault codes. You can get a quick glance by just tapping on them. It'll tell you the code. If you want to go into the module and do further diag, you hit enter. Let's see. Okay, and then the one that I would be concerned with for this visit is in the check engine light the customer was complaining about. So we've got a couple misfire codes and looks like an evap code. Scanning. So that's the beginning functions of scanning it. The topology makes it nice and you get your quick access views there. And so now, just like the other tool, this one, it's nice to be able to do a, it'll generate a PDF report with all your shop info and so on and so forth, and then you can email it and share it. So let's see. So now it's saved it, it's on the tool, and it's presented this way. You can print it and give it to a customer. So that's nice to be able to have. And again, here you can share it by these methods, which normally I'll do email. And then let's see. One thing that was cool, this QR code sharing. You can now take a picture of that and send it to the customer or whoever, and then when they basically scan it or run through the scan with their phone, it brings up this exact same report that was basically generated with the tool right here. So that's a new thing, and it's kind of cool. I have tested it out already, and everything shows up and works fine. Now the other thing down here, if you see compare results, so this portion's pretty cool. So it'll save and list out, let's say, your pre-scan there, and then after you make a repair, do a full, quick delete and clear all the faults, and then read it, then it'll list it out, and then you can compare the pre and post on this portion here. And then you got diagnostic plan, which brings up this portion here with the trouble codes in some of the modules. Now, what I believe is going on with this, with the diagnostic plan, is it kind of, let's call it, prioritizes the modules possibly that you might want to look at first, or kind of in order from probably more of the important issues to address and the least important issues. I believe that's kind of the setup with that. And the only reason why I explained it that way is because when I was working at BMW, the factory scan tool also had that. And that was the mindset behind when you would pick the diagnostic plan portion of that tool. It kind of prioritized the order to look at the faults. Again, I won't go into the modules. There's going to be nothing new there that you haven't already seen. You would just you can look at data, activate things, so on and so forth. Some of the things that people would be interested in is usually this extra added stuff. So let's see what supposedly is available. So this is where you would go to do, kind of OE level type functionality, let's call it. As you can see, what you have access to, all of those would be here. And so that's where you could find a lot of the extra information, which would be there in the special function. And then if you want to do coding and programming, that's where you would go, and then be able to have access to do some of that. Now, I think we'll explore that here in a little bit, but let's take a look more at what the tool has to offer. Okay, so let's go ahead and back out of the diagnostic portion. To completely leave the vehicle, you hit this out the door thing there. It annoyingly beeps at you, so you can remember to take the interface out. And just out of curiosity, let's take a look there. And so there you go. There's one record that we have now stored for this vehicle VIN number on the tool if we ever want to go back and look at it. And so we'll start by going over see what we have available to us. That's where you start the scanning with the automatic stuff. Local is if you want to build the vehicle manually. Nothing new there as well. We see that we've got remote diagnosis, which pulls up here. This is part of the whole smart link device thing, which I am going to want to see about exploring the availability or options and stuff that I can have access to now with this smart link. So I'll have to find out more about that, but I just wanted to present that. They are now exploring these options directly on the tablet, looks like. EV, pretty self-explanatory. Special function, something I've not really messed with, because usually when I'm already in a vehicle, say that BMW we just scanned, I'll go through the special functions area to perform some of the resets and so on and so forth. But I did find a feature here, and I'll show you guys in a little while, that is not really within the scan portion when you're in the vehicle. So meaning in the vehicle with the tool once you've built and brought up the vehicle. So I will show you that, and it also makes me more curious about some of the other special functions here that are available. As you can see, you can just take a look at everything that is being listed. So that's there. Toolbox. This is, again, like I showed with the other one, it has expandability, let's call it. So if you're looking to expand all within this tablet, you can have the ability to do tire pressure monitor systems, ADAS, connect scope, sensor box, video scope, battery testing, multimeter, all of the features that you see here. Now, one that I have already explored and used, and actually this tool got me out of a jam because another one that said could do a certain ECU reading, it was not able to, and that was with this Immo programmer. If we go in here, this is where you would start that portion of it. Basically, if you want to do computer cloning, this has the ability to do that. And the way I got out of the jam is I went to this portion, and without having to connect or anything, you just simply click vehicle coverage. And I was curious to see if I had the ability to try to read the engine computer that was in question for me. And so I looked up in this area and it was listed. So this then became a viable option for me to try. The one that I was needing to read was, let's see, a BMW X5, which I've selected that, and then here you've got the year. So mine was a 10. Let's see if we want to narrow it down. So here we go. Mine was the diesel, which is listed right there. And I wanted to know if I can read the engine computer. And here we go. We're in the Immo system. Engine computer, which that did match. It's a EDC 17CP09. And it's telling us the function that we have access to is to read the EEPROM and flash from the engine computer. So by opening up this menu, just checking the vehicle coverage, I can see what we would have availability to do. With the, again, you have to purchase the programmer and stuff separately, but it gave me the ability to do that. And I was able to get that read and written. And I do have a video, so I'll put some pictures up of that. And then eventually the video will be out where I show the process of this, basically saving my rear end. And I'll just quickly open some of these to show you guys if you haven't seen, just to get your curiosity going of the access that you'd be able to have if you grab some of these extra added items that you can connect. So this is the scope. Again, all based on here. You can use it on the tablet, so that makes it easy. This sensor box I showed in the last video, because that a smaller unit also does have access to this. So if you want to, let's see, do a signal generator for cam sensor signals, crank sensor signals, this is where you would go. So again, it's pretty cool and unique what you have access to. You can do now multimeter functions with this as well, and so on and so forth. Let's see, obviously video scope, battery, which eventually I do want to get this and add this to the usage here in the shop. This one with the multimeter, eventually I do want to get this unit to play around with it and have something that I can use here on the tablet. Let's see. These are the measurements that you can perform, and you can view it in waveform. Let's see. Or number and waveform display, or just numerical. So again, this is all extra crazy usable diagnostic stuff that's incorporated here with the tablet. And this one, this is pretty cool. With the amp clamp, you can get both a voltage and amperage at the same time on the tool. If you're curious on when you're doing some testing and you want to graph or capture both the amperage and voltage, this will let you do it. And it'll save the waveforms and stuff, and you can go back in them and open them there if you've captured some. Obviously, I've not done that yet, but here eventually I will be getting some of these things. I've showed you that already, and obviously if you want to do key work, that's where you would go. And obviously we've got some of our straightforward basic ones. That's going to be your, if you've got any updates, that's where they pop up or where you do them. The mall is if you want to purchase any additional stuff that you don't have. I think if you want to do some EV stuff, you've got to purchase some of it. So here inside the repair info, you get access to, trying to get some help with fixing the vehicles. So this is what they call, let's see, the X431 Fix, which I've not signed up with, but I will be doing so. And looks like it's part of a Haynes basically product. So I'm curious to see the availability with that. So here under equipment operations tips brings up these additional menus. And again, all of this is to try to help you guys get out of a jam or find out information about fixing something. So let's see, we're in Tech Handbook. Out of curiosity, just into Audi, we'll pick that first one. And here we're getting basically full wiring diagram of the engine management system for this Audi with the 4.2. So again, that's incorporated here on the tablet. If we back out, let's take a look at DTC help. And let's click GM. And here brings up some vehicles with some trouble codes, if you're curious about them. And so if we randomly pick one, let's see, this one. It brings up information based off of the trouble code. And so there's description, conditions, actions, diagnostic aids, and then basically kind of a chart to try to help. So again, that's pretty powerful to have all of that incorporated within the tool to try to help you have additional resources in fixing cars. If we go operation skills, let's call it, let's take a look at BMW. And let's check this one. So this is basically kind of how to perform some jobs or procedures with the tool, and so it'll kind of walk you through it. And obviously the first one I clicked, it's BMW, it's a gear selector, online coding. So it'll walk you through the procedure. It'll show you basically a guided way of how to perform that job, where to go within the tool, and how to get the job done. So again, if you're curious on whether it can do something or how to do it because it says it can do it, this is a good guide, all built within the tool. And then if we go training video, this is basically a direct link to Launch's basically YouTube channel, that this will just give you how-tos on performing certain jobs with the toolings that they offer. So it's just a direct link to their stuff. And so we'll back out and see Launch Academy. We've got these sub-menus that'll, again, try to help you with getting stuff done. And so we're in the Emo portion. Let's see, let's hit a Ford. And so here it brings up basically Ford Emo programming manual, that this is stuff that the tool can do when you buy the programmer. And so it's a good walkthrough to gather information. If you know you're going to do work on a certain make model and you want to get familiar with how the procedure is or what's involved and so on and so forth. And here I've gone into BMW, and let's see. This is again explaining how to basically virginize a transmission, a used transmission for BMW, and getting it to work in a different vehicle. And so again, it's a guide to tell you how to do the procedure and get the job done. And then if we go training video, I believe it does go to a YouTube link, and it does, and this one has other how-to videos or explanations of their products. If you want to get familiar with them, you get on here and watch some of the videos, and it explains stuff, kind of like what I was saying with the whole Smart Link, which this is the unit that I have. If I want to learn a little bit more about it, this is where I would go. Now the last one that I wanted to click on and show you guys is this, the diagnostic kit, and it opens up to all these other sub-menus. The one common one that I usually use is this diagnostic history. This is where I'll go to retrieve any reports and where they're all stored as well. We go here. This is the PDF that was generated on that vehicle we just scanned. And so if you want to share it again or print it, this is where you would do it. But it also has all these kind of, let's call it extra buttons or options here. and these are some that we are going to explore. We explore this one, the vehicle coverage. It's going to open up a menu to look at different makes and models, and it'll tell you what the tool is able to do. We'll take a look here at BMW, and it brings up a list of vehicles. You can break it down if you'd like, but here if you see, let's see, a 13-1 series, and scroll over, in the department they're calling it, so it would be like engine, chassis, body, so on and so forth. So right now it's in the chassis portion, and so it'll tell you based off subsystems for that within the chassis what it's able to do. So let's see, active steering, front steering, it can do as far as function, active test, and bring up live data, module info for it, special functions. It'll do the activation of the alignment procedure, pull up trouble codes, slide data, so on and so forth. That is for the antenna tuner. And so this, again, it's a menu portion that if you've got questions about what the tool can do, that's where you find it. And just for giggles, let's do something crazy. Let's go to Ferrari. So it's got, let's see, a 93 348 model. Let's see, it'll do, it's got some availabilities, as you can see there. And I'm wondering if you were to do something with this, that's where the connector kit, the non-OBD connector kit, would come into play. I mean, it would have to, something that old. But there, I mean, it's got a bunch of, but there, yeah, it's listing out what the tool has ability to do. Let's see, so a 355 for 99, special functions. Yeah, so obviously, if I've never worked on a Ferrari with this tool here, and I'm curious what I can do. If I know I've got one coming, that's where I would look the information up for the tool. So there's a lot of sub-menus that lets you look at availabilities, and it breaks it down in different portions. So we are connected to the vehicle. There's our interface, and so let's take a look at this, which again, it's pretty cool to be able to have the access and ability of all this. And if you've got anything in question, this can help you answer some of those. So we're clearly looking at our DLC pins and what we've got at the DLC pins and what pin. Obviously power, and then here is our bus, which we've got good voltage there, and it's giving us some info there. And we've got another one that's got voltage there, so pin 9. So that's pretty cool. That is a new feature. And then look at this one here. So let's get the USB cable. Okay, so I've got it connected. Now this is more for the way advanced CAN bus people out there. This will bring up the communication and show it all out here. That's what's continuously going on right now. As you can see, it's counting. So these are the messages of what's going on right now. And so we'll stop it, and then it's all listed out there. Now this can then be, looks like it can be imported and so on and so forth. So this is if you're going to get deep into trying to basically sniff on the CAN bus. I believe this is something that can help you get started with that. So it's definitely a cool thing, but this is for for very advanced people. And so if you would be interested with that, this is what you can do again with this tool. So if we get out of that, let's see. So that is, I guess, if you want to remove stuff off the tool, which we don't need to mess with. That one, if you need to fix anything. Now that's if you've saved some recordings of when you're doing some testing. And let's take a look here. Now we'll hit start. Now it's kind of similar to the DLC one, but you'll see that it's different because it actually kind of graphs it out. So there we go. And as you can see, it's scrolling over. So it's telling us where we're at. It's graphing it out. Let's see. You can record it if you want and save it, which we won't. And if you wanted to, you can hit print and it'll generate a PDF of it, and then you can print it out. Now the one that is very, very useful is this one right here. Let's check it out. Now we're connected to BMW, so we'll go there. Now this I think is going to be very important or useful in some situations. So what it's going to do, it's going to reach out onto the vehicle's bus and read the modules and pull up all the modules that have VIN stored, and it'll display the VIN within all those modules. So as you can see, it's going through a bunch of modules, it's reading them, and then it'll pull up basically the list of the VIN numbers in the modules. All right, there we go. And I wasn't expecting this, but again, this is where this can be useful. And if you're having issues, if something's not working right and there's just something weird or odd, this can bail you out because it can help prove out something that you otherwise might not have known. So let's see. First of all, there's a ton of modules that have a VIN number stored in it, as we can see right here on the left. And clearly this message here that one is not exactly the same as the rest, and it's listed here in red. And as far as the guy at fault, it's the gear selector. So at one point in time, it looks like this has been replaced and was replaced with a used unit. Now, if you remember earlier in one of the menus of the how-to, we pulled up the coding procedure for a gear selector. So I think we're going to be able to put that to use here, and I will do that to try to then get this rectified. Definitely wasn't expecting to run into this, but again, this is a very cool thing. So what we can do, it looks like you can generate a report, which then lists it out. This, again, if you need to prove out something to a customer or put it in your file with the repair order, it's pretty cool that it generates a PDF that then you can share. So let me send this. That way I can let the customer know. And there we go. Email. And so now that'll be sent over to my email that I can print out and have for records. Okay, so that's that portion. Again, that's where you'll find that for the VIN number. And over here, let's perform another cool one that I was talking about. It's this one here, so the odometer check. Kind of similar to what we just did and saw, but this is now for mileage. So we'll start, and I'll show you what this will do. Again, it's for helping out with trying to, figure out if there's been manipulation done or any of that type of issues. And just like before, it's going to go through and scan different modules that'll have the mileage stored in them, and then it'll list them out and list out the mileage that is in these modules. Okay, and then you can do again a report and fill out the info. I'm going to skip for now, but there it is. So let's see. Here it lists out the module, and then there is the mileage. So let's take a look. Obviously, they're all consistent, or they match. And let's see. So the PDC has it, the cluster naturally, and then the transmission stores mileage. Now, this is one of the transmissions that does, if you put a used one in, you do have to virginize it or do a cloning and so on and so forth. So that makes sense that stores the mileage. There you go. That's another cool feature that, again, you can have. It'll generate a report of the list that it builds for mileage in all modules. And again, it can help prove things out or get you out of a jam. So since we are connected, let's go ahead and see if we can get this shifter coded. So I'll go here into diagnostic. Okay, so we are in. Let's go to coding and programming. I've gone ahead, connected my power supply. Whenever we're doing coding or programming, you want to always have a good power supply. So let's go to coding system. There we go, GWS. So this is like the help menu that we saw earlier. So let's see. Turn off. So it's just a matter of following kind of the instructions here that's listed. Let's hit yes. So recoding's been completed. All right, so we can back out. Let's see. All right, so now we just went into GWS, and this main screen is pulling up VIN number, which now matches the one we've got here. So 7468. There we go, 7468. So we, by going through this tool's options and features of checking VIN numbers, we were able to find out that this guy here had an incorrect VIN, had been replaced at one point, and then with the tool's ability to do coding, we were able to then perform the coding and get that rectified. So let's back out. Yes, no. Clearly we saw it there, but not here. We saw that the VIN number changed, but I just want to pull up in this way. That way, if you wanted to then print out that list for that job performed, we'd be able to prove it out here. And there we go. And then we got now a green check and says everything is the same. So pretty cool there. Wasn't expecting that, but again, very useful features that will help you fix cars in a way probably that other tools will not let you do. And one last thing that I did want to bring up, this being the launch-based tool. I know that some of you guys will say that there's some out there that are very similar, which there is. Particularly one other one would be kind of like a top-down. Now, I did explain before that I used the tool with the Emo programmer. Basically, I needed to read an EEPROM and flash off of BMW DME, and I borrowed my friend's programmer, the Ninja, which connected and worked fine. His top-down also connected and read it, but there was an issue or a problem with his top-down. Being that this is an Android-based system, we have the ability here in this home screen to have access to, if you wanted to add additional things. We've got browsers, a team viewer, all these things, But the big thing that I want to point out was we have this file manager, or access to this file manager on this tool in that home screen. Because of that, I was able to not only perform a reading of the EEPROM and flash, and it saves it and stores it in the Immo program, but if you need to gain access to those files, because we've got the file manager, I was able to move them off of the tablet onto a PC, do some hex edit work, and then reinstall it onto the tool, and then write it through the programmer. The top-down does not have this home screen section where you cannot gain access to the files. It stored it on the tool when you're in the Immo program, but there was no way for me to move them off of that tool and do work with them, unlike this. So this saved me with that engine computer EEPROM file, flash file work I was needing to do, and it did not have any of these extra features and functions. So this tool is an upgrade from this one. It costs a little more, but it has a ton more features that this one does not have, and other ones that are comparable, like the top-down or whatever, that those cannot do what this one does. Again, this is a new one for me that I've been using for a month. I'm extremely happy. It's bailed me out a ton of times. You clearly just saw it bail us out, performing that VIN check and then doing the coding for it. So been very pleased, very happy. There's a whole lot more that be able to be done with it. Again, because of I'd like to explore the smart link and then all the extra stuff we can add to it with the toolbox portion. So if you guys are interested, I'll put info down in the description on where you can get yours, and hopefully maybe it'll help you guys become better technicians and do work that normally you would not been able to have done before. And so with that, that's basically my overview on the tool, and hopefully you enjoyed it and got something out of it, and helps you make a decision when you're out basically tool shopping for scan tools.